Here is the Crescendo Music Education Podcast, episode number 1. Hello and welcome to the Crescendo Music Education Podcast. I'm Debbie O'Shea, a primary school music teacher, workshop presenter, social media enthusiast and music education advocate from Brisbane, Australia. Find me at crescendo.com.au. These podcasts are designed to support music educators through sharing thoughts and practical ideas in the hope of making your working life a little better or a little easier. My aim? Supporting, connecting and inspiring music educators. So glad you could join me. So excited to be here on my first podcast. Now, what should this be about? It was a bit of a no-brainer, really. I think this first podcast needs to be about how important music teachers are, how important you are. I think I need to tell you, you are important. Why do we need to hear that we're important? Well, I think that's because in our job, it's really easy to feel undervalued, not valued, not appreciated. Why is it that way? Why? Heavens, look at what we do. We sing songs, we play games, we just have the best time. So why is it that often we are not seen as valued? I think there are several reasons for this. For a start, we're not teaching one of the basics, one of the 3 R's, reading, writing and arithmetic. We're not teaching what's really important. I'm certainly not saying that's my view, because it's obviously not, or I wouldn't be in this job, but it is the view of many. What we do is not basics, it's not fundamental, it's not important to our lives. So that's a bit of a common perception that we're up against in our job. Another thing when we're working in schools is that we're just often viewed as the babysitter, the time to give the real teachers a break. Some of our timetables even have on the top non-contact time or relief time or something like that. We're not even labelled as music teachers in our timetable. Good heavens. And talk about real teachers. Yeah, let's not go down that little rabbit hole. Music is usually the last curriculum area to be reviewed and refreshed, or at least in my experience it is. By the time our new curriculum documents are written and trialled and implemented and ready to go, we go, here comes another new broom in our system, district, curriculum, whatever. New broom warning. They're going to sweep things clean and they're going to start again. And we have only just begun to implement our new documents that have been worked on for so long, for so many years, and we've had the shortest time frame out of all of the curriculum areas to actually get it happening. Now, this might not be your experience, but it certainly is mine. I was even fortunate enough to be the manager of a curriculum writing team. We worked on this new curriculum for Queensland for 7 years. Trialled and got in amazing people to help write things, and then we only just got them happening and new broom time. So all of that work was lost. So that's my experience anyway. Because we're the last ones to be reviewed, we're out first and we just bottom of the pile we are, and we so shouldn't be. I think you know that. I'm probably preaching to the converted. The other reason that I think we're not valued is that sometimes music and music education comes with fear. I think that sometimes what's not understood can be feared. Other teachers, administrators and decision makers can feel moved to erode our area because of their fear. It might be a little bit of a sweeping generalisation, but I do think it's there. There are some people that are genuinely afraid of what we do because they don't understand it. It's a whole symbol system that is gobbledygook to them. They don't understand why it's important that our children feel safe to have a turn and sing and take risks and create and innovate. They don't see that importance, so therefore there's a fair bit of fear. They're just some of the reasons that I think we are sometimes not valued in our job. Now, it sounds to me that I've sort of broken one of my rules, which when I'm teaching music, I start and end with music and joy. And what have I done? I've started this podcast on a downer, which I certainly didn't mean to do. Sorry about that, because you are valuable. You are absolutely valuable. Just because you're here, because you were born, you're worthwhile. But we won't go into that little sidetrack. What you do is vital. It is valuable. It is essential. Children need what you do. I think every single person listening to this knows that the children that you educate need you. They deserve you. They value you. And what you do is irreplaceable. So in this next section, I'm just going to summarise a few things, a few reasons why I believe what you do is invaluable. I'd actually like to start this list by saying it's by no means exhaustive. I wanted this to be really complete and beautiful and thorough, and the more I work on it, the more I realise there is to do. So I've just had to call time so that I can get this episode done. All right, why are you valuable? Let's start with some cognitive advantages for our students. Well, we know now there's so much research that's available proving the cognitive benefits for our students. There's neuroscientific research demonstrating that music education has a positive effect on brain development. It's a fact now, so we really can't argue against that one. It increases our verbal, reading and executive function, particularly in really young students. It helps enhance our memory, our concentration, extends our attention span. It develops, and when I say it, I mean music education and music education programs, of course. It enhances observation and listening skills. So they are developed as information's processed from auditory, visual and kinesthetic perception. We go through all of these different ways and modes of learning and develop these skills of observation and listening. It also helps with group and individual decision making, problem solving and even hypothesizing. There are so many cognitive benefits. Music just does make you smarter. So you can look into any of these plus more and go into really specific details. But I think what we need to know for now is that it just improves students' cognition, increases the myelinization of the neural pathways in young children, that sort of thing. It's handy to have a bit of research up our sleeves to use when discussing these things. But for now, all we need to know is it does make you smarter. It helps our students' brain. One of the reasons I am in this job is the social, emotional and psychological benefits. And as I've gone through my career, I know it's always been important, but it seems to me to be becoming even more important. There's more emphasis placed on data, assessment, reporting, testing, and we just seem to be swinging away from creative experiences that are there for our well-being and for making well-rounded little people. So I just, more than ever, social, emotional and psychological benefits are at the forefront. I think we are necessary. So I'll go through a bit of a list I made, and like I said, I'm sure there's heaps more. So there's that shared experience of singing together. It creates social bonding. Therefore, everyone feels like they belong. There's sort of an acceptance because you're part of that group. I know personally, I love singing in a choir. Not that I actually do it at the moment, a bit short on time, but I love being in a choir because I am much better in a choir than I am by myself. I'm not that great a solo singer, but when I'm singing with a choir, gee, we sound good. So I just love that feeling of belonging and being part of the group and being part of something better than just me by myself. So part of that benefit is also working effectively as part of that group, learning to work well with a partner, peer acceptance, allowing risk taking, because every time we will have someone sing by themselves in a game or improvise a phrase, we're allowing them to take those risks, and we're teaching the students to respect that risk taking. So everyone is accepted and everyone is allowed to have a go, which is, I think, a bit unique in music and the arts. The informal atmosphere of games is a unique environment where the teacher is one of the group. You can be part of that belonging and fun. Even using the students' names in songs and games has huge well-being benefits. There may be some students in your class that the only time they hear their name in a positive context is when they're playing their games with you. Maybe they only hear their name in a context of being yelled at or in anger or even in violence. So if we can sing their name and look into their eyes, it can just be transformative for some students. We choose partners and learn to choose partners respectfully, making circles, holding hands. We participate and we share. We learn to take turns. This is amazing for social, emotional, and psychological development. We have to learn to sometimes be out, and it's all right to be out. It is a game. And sometimes we miss out. There may only be 4 students that have turns at the xylophone today, and so you miss out today. And you know what? That's okay. And we have to learn to do that, to put up with that. All right, we have the advantage of it being fun, and we shouldn't overlook that. It is fun. It's not just fun, but it is fun. We have success, and our students can feel successful. That's the sequential nature of our programs, building in success for all, self-worth and praise as everybody's contribution is valued in music. They can feel secure and safe when they're taking risks and when they're creating. They develop a positive self-concept of themselves through their songs and games and compositions and all of the things that you do with them. They encouraged as creating and engaging individuals in music activities in your classroom. Singing also, remember, releases endorphins. It's a natural antidepressant, lowers stress levels. It even increases alertness as it increases our blood flow. So that's a little bit of a feel-good sort of thing for you. And I believe it develops empathy. I think music education, it's one of the powers of music education. Maybe it's a secret power of music education. It develops empathy because there is this emotional element of music. It's essential, an essential emotional element of music, and it can lead to reflective, thoughtful, and empathetic listeners and performers. I don't really believe that you can make music with children, or with anyone really, without tapping into some sort of emotional depth. Let's move on to physical advantages of our music education programs. I'd like to start with positive touch. There are some students that you will teach that have not had their hand held or been touched in a positive way throughout their day, and that feeling of being in a circle holding hands is just amazing. Michelangelo said to touch can be to give life. It's important. You need to connect with people on a basic physical level, and students need to feel this as well, some more than others. It can help them feel safe and secure and valued. Some research suggests that up to 1 in 4 of our students are affected by trauma, and this is often not obvious from the outside. So allowing our programs to include positive touch, hand clapping games, and holding hands in circles and linking arms with a partner, all of these things are so important. Now, fine and gross motor development, we know that from finger plays in prep up to, sets, dancing in upper primary, that fine and gross motor development in our music classes happens all the time. Playing instruments, holding the beaters, that's a bit of an easy one really, that motor development, and general coordination is developed. We have lots of cross-body and crossing the midline type activities, which we know is really important to our physical development. Posture is improved, especially with proper playing techniques and correct singing techniques. Singing is great for your lungs and your core development. Some evidence even suggests that it strengthens your immune system to be singing, and particularly to be singing in a group in a very positive way. And there's even evidence that there's protection against age-related decline as we develop musically. So, oh my goodness, when you look at those things, which by no means is this list exhaustive, this is why you're valuable. This is what you do for students. This is like amazing. So you have to know that what you do is important, and you have to know that you are awesome. And I guess it's our job to just really help lead people to understand how important your work is. This brings me to the final section on this podcast about you being incredibly valuable and important. I think what we need to do is finish off with ways to help you keep in mind how valuable you are. So to remind you of your value and to support you in the way you work. So there's a few things you can do. Many of you are no doubt doing these already. Networking. I would be absolutely nowhere without my support network. My colleagues, I rely on them, whether it's through Facebook, email, at school, going to PDs, being on committees. My network of music education people are just the most valuable thing for me in my professional life. So get on to that networking, create your networks, nurture your networks. They're going to be invaluable when you need them. So specifically, we could look at Facebook groups. That's where I love hanging out most. I'm trying to get better at the other socials, but Facebook is where I tend to hang out. And because I've got the Facebook community, and that's a closed group that I have, sorry to say it, complete control over, so I can make sure that it stays positive and it stays supportive, and I can encourage the sharing and generous nature that I think is really there in all music teachers. So, pop into some of your favourite Facebook groups. If they're a bit toxic, just get out. Just go to the good ones. Now, don't forget, in this age of technology, don't forget just actually going to visit someone, or pick up the telephone, or arrange to go and see a colleague at a local school, at a school down the road. Get your principals to talk and go spend some time with them, because we need to keep this personal connection happening. We need it. So don't forget personally reaching out, not just the huge Facebook groups. Attend workshops. Oh my heavens. They've been my favourite part of my 40 years as a music educator, is attending, and now luckily sometimes taking workshops, that interaction and the way that we can buoy each other up, understanding our jobs and our barriers and our joys. So, go to workshops. I realise we're in a time when face-to-face is a bit of an issue, because this is coming to you in early 2022, where we're still in the COVID pandemic. But workshops, please make sure you do those. Join a committee. For me, I'm a Kodai-inspired teacher, so I'm on the Queensland Kodai Committee, And I just love being with my like-minded tribe. That might not be for you. You may be Orff inspired or Delcroze, but find somebody that shares your underlying philosophy and passion and join a committee and do some voluntary stuff and get some things happening to support other people. Because one of the greatest ways to have support yourself is to provide support for others. Give them a hand. It's amazing the good that will do for you. So join a committee, help others out. And here's another little one. It's sort of a bit of a plug, but it's no monetary advantage for me. But I'd like you to sign up for something called Here's a Thought. Now, I'll put the link in the show notes for you. But basically, Here's a Thought is a daily message of encouragement, support, and inspiration, or inspiration. It's short, and you will get one every day for a year, unless you unsubscribe, which of course you're free to do. Now, I wrote these. I was a little bit inspired. Actually, no, I was a lot inspired, but I went back and forth. Should I do this? Should I not? And then I went, well, I'm going to. So it took me certainly quite a long time to write my 365 thoughts from a music educator to a music educator. But I've got a couple of hundred people receiving them now, and I'm getting really good feedback. And if I can say, I actually really like getting it myself. I like to see, what is past Debbie telling today Debbie? What message does she have for me? And I enjoy them. They're absolutely free. And like I said, there's always the unsubscribe button. So sign up for Here's a Thought if you wish. And that will give you a little reminder every day that what you do is super important. As we know, laughter relieves stress. Don't lose sight of the funny side of life. You know, the other day I thought I would go and buy myself a pair of camouflage pants, but I just couldn't find any. Thank you so much for watching our Crescendo Music Education podcast. For more information about all things crescendo, including membership and music education resources, visit us at crescendo.com.au. Don't forget to like and subscribe.